Cannabis is something that our society has struggled with for a long time, as evidenced by our sort of social approaches to it, which in our recent memory has been outright illegalization that has now kind of crumbled and become the fertile ground for this, this wave of legalization and social acceptance that cannabis is undergoing right now. Actually at the point where we're actively considering that adult use THC cannabis is something that will be legal in the near future, which I'm not sure I ever would have thought was going to happen in my adult life up until the last 10 years, where all of a sudden it's like we can't avoid it. It's just a matter of time, really. My name is Tim Anderson, and I work with the Stigma hemp company. The career definitely began in California. I lived in California for almost 18 years. And during that time, I was involved with the cannabis industry out there, the medical cannabis industry. Well, when I was a grower, I had a lot of time, working by myself, and spent a lot of it, doing my own research, reading every book about cannabis I could find, trying every different kind I could find, collecting books, magazines, free newspapers. It's like I have a huge archive of all sorts of cannabis books and magazines, old seed catalogs from like the 70s and 80s. So by the time I even started working in the dispensary, I already had a gigantic head full of knowledge of like different cannabis varieties and cannabis history and all that sort of stuff. A lot different in those days in medical cannabis because it was a lot more sort of homespun, it had grown out of trying to get stuff for cancer patients and AIDS patients and not out of commercialism. If you're someone who's terminally ill with cancer or an AIDS wasting syndrome like the Bay Area had so much of for so long, it was really about, making their life comfortable, but not in a narcotic way like, opiates, morphine and stuff like that, which people do end up needing at the end of their life sometimes when the pain is bad enough, but they don't make you a happy person, they don't make you smile, they don't make you full of life like cannabis does, But yeah, for years it's just been something that's, it's troubled our nation in a lot of ways. Where that social intolerance for cannabis comes from, is a hard thing to pinpoint. In the past, it's definitely because of the people it's been associated with. The term marijuana is a great example of that because that's actually not a native word for it anywhere. It was something that was kind of a journalistic creation in the early 1900s to demonize it because it was associated with, immigrants and, people of darker skin. And it was a way to, illegalizing it was a way to control them and to subjugate them. I got involved with Stigma nearly a year and a half ago. Well, the name Stigma comes from two things. It comes partially from the social stigma that comes with cannabis use in general, but it also is a part of the plant. The stigma is the part of the plant that allows the pollen to pass towards the pistil and for the seed bract to eventually grow. So it's one of the core parts of the floral bracts that make all the good stuff that cannabis is so well known for. The parts of the plant that put on the resin glands that are filled with CBD, terpenes, other cannabinoids. So really, the stigma is twofold in a lot of ways. And the CBD industry is kind of a weird middle path to that in that, obviously there is no THC involved. However, those two aspects of the plant have gone down different breeding pathways for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And it's like comparing different breeds of dogs. The pug and the golden retriever, while they are still a dog, they are the same dog at their root, are simply vastly different dogs by consequence of their heritage and genetic structure. What do I hope to do with Stigma? Make people more comfortable with cannabis, make them realize that social stigma is not something that is omnipresent and invincible, something that you can move beyond and, find your own comfort with as the rest of the society eventually becomes a little more comfortable with it too. There's no shortage of unique aspects of the plant, its cultivation and its engagement with, humans Cannabis never seems to run out of new interesting features. Through my knowledge, I hope to be able to impart at least some of that excitement, even if not the actual content of what I say, to people who I talk about cannabis with and talk about CBD with. My name is Tim Anderson, and I'm looking forward to sharing more cannabis and CBD related content with you, and hoping I can answer your questions that you might have on CBD products and cannabis in general.